What is going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of Odds and Ends. Today we are going to take a look at some of my rarer and more uncommoner PlayStation 4 games. Stick around. Alright, so we are getting close to the end of the PlayStation 4's life cycle. I'm estimating about 2 years or so, 2.5 years, before they completely stop making PlayStation 4 games and consoles and accessories and stuff, because the PlayStation 5 is coming out. That's sort of a known thing. But looking back at the PlayStation 4, 100 million units sold, over 2,000 retail releases worldwide. Great console, man. If you don't have one, I definitely would suggest getting one, especially now since they're a little cheaper. But today I really wanted to showcase some of the more rare, more uncommon, more hard to find PlayStation 4 games in the library. Before we get started, I just want to kind of say that I think there's two different categories when we're talking about, rare and limited and collectible games and whatever. For the PlayStation 4, the first category are the games that were produced in limited quantities for the purpose of being limited and rare and collectible. Companies like Limited Run, Strictly Limited, Limited Rare, PlayAsia sometimes will make copies of games in limited quantities, but those games are intentionally made to be rare. And we'll go over some of my games today that come from that category. The second category is retail release games that for whatever reason, they didn't sell well, they just weren't that many produced, they were sold at special stores, things like that. Those games we're also going to talk about today, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that there is a distinct difference, at least in my mind, of how we sort of tabulate or talk about these rare and limited games. And lastly, I think this is important to note, most of these games that are super rare or extremely limited, they came out on other platforms like PC or Steam or the PlayStation Store. Most of these games you can get for $10 or under. In the case of Fortnite, it's free. So don't think that you have to go and spend a bunch of money if you want to play some of these great games. I'm excited, so you better be excited. Let's get this show started. Alright, so the first game comes from Strictly Limited, and it is a shooter, so I gotta love it. It is Gundemoniums. Now, the thing that I absolutely love about Gundemoniums is that it reminds me a lot of the cave shooters that came out on the Xbox 360, like Death Smiles or Akai Katana. Big sprite, little hitbox, bright, colorful, fun, kind of fast-paced, bullet hell style. But what this game really, really does well is it incorporates a lot of really fun elements from the shooter genres that we know to expect, all in one game. So you get your screen-clearing bombs, you got your slow-down time like Cinemora EX, you've got power-ups and weapons and all different kinds of stuff. So very, very fun game here. If you can get a copy of this for cheap, I definitely recommend it. One thing that Strictly Limited does that I like is they number their games. You can see I've got 939. This was limited to 1,800 copies in 2008, but it also came out in PlayAsia, or in the Japan region, but I don't think that is an English translated version. So yeah, I don't know, it's a shooter. I don't know how much English translation you need, but definitely a fun game right here, and I highly recommend it. Alright, so next on the list is a limited run shooter. Limited run game number 129, only 2,000 copies, Super Hydorah. Hydorah.
Full power.
Now, the thing I love about Super Hydorah is it plays like an 18 or 16-bit shooter, so it's classic, it's nostalgic, it's a shooter after my own heart, but it also plays like Gradius and R-Type, which means it's very, very difficult. There is a lot of level learning that needs to go on in here before you can advance to the next level, but it is rewarding, and if you see it cheap, definitely pick it up. The next game that I want to talk about is Buster Bros. Psych, just kidding. It's Pang!
Go!
Now, Pang is limited run game number 147. It was limited to 4,500 copies, and it's Buster Bros in the arcade. So very fun co-op. It's like a puzzly adventure type game where you shoot these like harpoons up in the air, and you bust these bubbles, then you move on to the next level. Like I said, very cool. It features power-ups, awesome level design. It's very challenging, and if you ever see it out there, definitely pick that one up. It's kind of fun. The next game that I have in my collection is The Flame and the Flood. Now this is limited run game number 83. It was released in 2017. It actually has a variant cover. This is the more harder to find cover, this gold or brown color, dark brown color. There's only 1,000 copies of these made. The variant cover is sort of white or vanilla, cream colored, and it was, limited to 3,000 copies. So 4,000 copies total in existence, with 1,000 of them being this this variant cover. It's like a survival type game where the emphasis is on resource management and inventory management more than it is the combat. So I have a sealed copy right here. Never played it, so Next on the list, I'm very excited to have this game actually. This is Nex Machina, limited run game number 90. Now, Nex Machina was released in 2017. The limited run version, which I have right here, only had 4,500 copies produced. It is a beautiful twin stick shooter with an awesome, amazing soundtrack. 6 worlds, 100 levels, just awesome stuff. And it looks great. If you've ever seen gameplay footage of this, which you just did, it is amazing. It looks amazing. So this is actually a sealed copy. The disc has come out. I don't know if you can hear that with the glare. But I will open this when I'm ready to play it, and I'm very excited to do so because I love those types of games. Moving down the list, this game actually was brought to my attention by Tony, the video game collector. Thank you so much for making me spend more money. But that is limited run game number 51, Asterbreed.
分かっているわね。このままアキダリア海を南下、海岸から峡谷へ入ってクリセ基地を目指すわよ。
ようそろ基地に着いたら超高速ドライブをダッシュ。バイルーン本拠地である移動惑星にひとっ飛びだろ。
高速の艦隊の梅雨払いを忘れないで。
大丈夫大丈夫。
敵が多い。速度を落として艦隊の道を開けなさい。
了解。っていうかもうちょっとソフトな言い方があるんじゃないかな。俺たちパートナーだろ。
そうなりたいなら努力することで。
違うんだ。こいつの戦い方どこかで。
Asterbreed was released in 2017 and got 4,500 release units, which is awesome. It's a very, very unique shooter that varies up gameplay from top-down to side-scrolling to third-person. It really reminds me of like Philosoma on the PlayStation 1, maybe like Star Fox meets Gradius or something like that. But very, very cool shooter. I got this and I wanted to open it and play it, but this game has shot up in value so much that I think I'm going to leave mine sealed. Don't pass this one up if you see it. All right, so the last limited run game that I want to show you guys today, I actually won this in Smash JT's 1,000 subscriber contest. It's limited run game number 74. Watch out behind you, Night Trap. Night Trap.
Are a very special boy. We both know that. But you must start doing your job. We all have to do our job.
Yeah, this is great.
Now, Night Trap was released in 2017, and there are two different versions of this game. The Standard Edition, which is what this is, got 5,000 releases. The 25th Anniversary Collector's Edition got 3,000 units. So there's actually 8,000 copies of limited run Night Trap out there, which is high for a print run for limited run games. They're typically 5,000 and less, but in this case, they made an exception. This game is infamous for being, back in the day, one of the games that started the ESRB congressional hearing wars, if you will. This and Mortal Kombat and a couple other games. Senator Joe Lieberman wanted to push for this video games is making kids violent, and we got to have ratings on it so consumers know what they're buying. And this is one of the games that got us there. So I think it's funny that there is no ESRB rating or PEGI rating or PAL rating or anything like that on this game, even though it's one of those games that push so hard to have that rating system. Here we go. Retail release games, category 2, PlayStation 4 rare games. I love these more than the limited run games because I don't know, they're just kind of neat. They weren't really made to be limited, they just sort of ended up that way. Low print runs, poor reception, game was terrible, didn't sell very well. But again, a lot of these games you can buy on like PlayStation stores for $5 or $10. This one comes from a region, not a region, comes from a country that is known for having the rarest of the rare when it comes to PlayStation 4 games, and that is Spain. Released in 2015, we have Toro. Toro is an arcade bullfighting simulator type game. From what I understand, it's very, very bad. It's not good. Not a good game at all. Clunky controls. And because of that, it didn't sell well. So got like one print run of this and then it was done. So very happy to add this to the collection. Now, I did get mine from Spain. It was about $30, $35. But if you can find one, American sellers are already starting to sell this game in that $80 to $100 range. So if you're into collecting rare PlayStation 4 games, I would suggest snagging this one right meow. So I forgot to mention this, but Toro, when you pop in your PlayStation, it's actually English. It's in English. And there's sort of like the big three, I consider it, in Spain that are Spanish region only, very rare games that were translated into English. One of those I do not have right now. It's Tadeo Jones. So there's another game you guys can look for. But this one right here, Dog Child, I think will actually be the more rare of the three. And here's why. There's a store in Spain. The name of the store is Game or Game EX or something like that. And what they do is they give independent developers an opportunity to have their games produced. They have a partnership with Sony for licensing and all that stuff. Well, the makers of this game, they actually won that contest and had their game produced. So it was printed in one region for one store, did not sell very well because the game is terrible, and got one print run. So if you are collecting PlayStation 4 games, especially from different regions, especially games that are rare, get this one right now. Alright, so that's going to do it for my international retail releases. I do have another PAL PlayStation 4 game that's pretty rare on its way. Video Game Collector is hooking me up. He had a friend or a relative that was in Spain. They actually went to Game, where this game lives, and she was able to find a bunch of games, and they are getting brought back to the United States or mailed or whatever. So stick around for a pickup video so you can check out what game I got from the PAL region that is really rare for the PlayStation 4. But we're going to bring it home. We're going to bring it back to America. Land of the free, home of the rare. We are talking about Gravity Rush Remastered. So, first of all, Gravity Rush is an awesome game. Light RPG, action, beat 'em up style, incorporates a lot of genres, does it very, very well. Looks amazing, sounds amazing, highly recommend it. However, this game is not actually as rare as some people would make it out to be. It was released on the PlayStation Vita And then, you know, Sony wanted to release it, but they wanted to release it through Amazon, so they released a couple, a limited quantity, I guess you could say. They don't really have a print run for this. So we've got the ESRB rating right there. So the North American version of Gravity Rush is pretty rare. But if you want to play Gravity Rush, just order it from the PAL region if you have to have a physical copy. Again, you can download these games for super cheap. But if you have to have a physical copy and you don't want to pay the $80 to $120 that this game is starting to get to, you can actually order a sealed copy from Europe, from the UK, and it's like 50 bucks, you know, for a sealed copy. So that's an excellent alternative if you don't want to spend the money or have a, you know, this copy in your collection, this rare copy in your collection. All right, we have come to the end. The last game that I want to talk about is, I'm just going to say it, you know, is the game that really dominated the PlayStation 4. It's the most popular game in the world, Fortnite. Now, it's crazy to think about Fortnite is like, how is this rare, right? You know, because they give it away for free. But in the early days, they released Fortnite on a disc, but it just had to save the world. The Battle Royale stuff came a little bit later. And once that got popular and was free and all that stuff, they were like, they just scrapped this. Why spend the money to, you know, create discs and print cover art and buy, you know, Sony's licensing fees and these blue cases? We'll just give it away for free and not have any overhead when it comes to cost of goods here. The thing is, they pulled this off the shelf immediately, so having a copy of this with the disc is actually very, very rare. This game is getting up into that $100, $125 range, and I was lucky enough to snag mine off of Facebook for about 20 bucks. Not about 20 bucks, it was 20 bucks. However, in my opinion, I don't think that this is the rarest version of Fortnite that you can get. So you just got to kind of go back to the beginning, right? Like, they released this, the Battle Royale got popular, they took this off the shelf, and they actually restocked these back on the shelf without the disc, but with a download code. So that's not, for a collector, you know, it's probably a collector's dream, but somebody that plays games or, you know, wants to open it and look at the games and all that stuff, you know, a case with a download code doesn't do it for me, but I'm just saying that those copies are out there. Those are probably going to be a little bit more rare than this copy. Again, that's just my opinion. All right, again, thank you guys so much. Double thanks. We will see you guys on the next one. And as always, take care of yourselves.